Hey, this is Neil Bawa, the mad scientist of multifamily, and you're listening to the Mailbox Money Show with Bronson Hill.
Welcome to the Mailbox Money Show. I am your host, Bronson Hill. I am so excited to be here today. Just love talking about personal development. A lot of people, this show really is about developing your wealth. But if you don't have health to enjoy it, it doesn't mean anything. If you don't have, the right mindset, you could have everything and not be satisfied with what you have. There's people that I know that make millions of dollars a year and they're very unhappy. And so to me, that's a tragedy, right? So there's a quote that says the first wealth is health. And so we're going to talk about how do you increase your health, your mindset, your wealth, all of those things together. And so I have today with me a friend, Buffy Steen-Larsen, who I was on her podcast recently, and she has a great show called The BS Your Way Through Life. The whole platform helps people with limiting beliefs and rewriting personal narratives. So some of you guys read my book behind me here, Fire Yourself. My second book is called Rich Brain, and it's basically how the wealthy change their brain to change their bank account, right? There's a direct correlation. So we're gonna have a great conversation here. So Buffy, I'm really excited for you to be here and to really help people understand more about how do you live a wealthy life, not just in your your material wealth, but also in the way you enjoy your life and your relationships and all the things that you're doing. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so stoked to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And it was really nice to have you on my podcast too. Really great conversation.
Yeah,
Really
of
love
course,
working
of
with you.
course.
So
Well,
great.
one of the things I really appreciate about you and your husband, you guys have a business where you have you're selling, and it was interesting how this business started. You started selling supplements online. It was basically from something that you found that you guys created on your own to develop like with a personal thing that you had. Can you talk a little bit about that story of how you developed this amazing business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a salve. And so the salve, so my husband he went to massage school and he took herbal classes. And then in his herbal class he learned how to make concoctions. And he's just like, "Ooh, I just made this good stuff." And we started using it on ourselves. We're like, "This is good stuff." So then we started using it on our clients, and then our clients were like, "Can I buy a bottle?" We're like, "We don't sell it." And so they're like, "You should." So we started bottling it and selling it. I got to tell you, like at first, when my husband suggested these things, I I was terrified. I was just like, because I was thinking about all the things that could go wrong as opposed to all the things that could go right. I think when we're approached with new, adventures and ideas, fear kicks in because it's trying to protect us from getting in trouble, right? So,
Yeah.
but my husband, he is a driven man, and I'm so glad he is because without his drive and me, and me being able to get over myself, because I could easily just say, "No, I don't want to do that," whatever. But no, I'm just like, close your eyes, let's just do this. And so we did it, and here we are. Now we have our product in Amazon, and people love it. All of our reviews are always raving, and we also have our product in a couple of doctors' office and some stores. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at your product. It's Happy Healing. And so I'm
Yeah.
gonna look that up. It looks like supplements for all different types of things. And
There's another company called Happy Healing, and they have some supplements. Ours is Happy. Our product is called Happy Healing, and so in order to, because like the name is Happy Healing. That is our company, but then it's because you'll find the wave. There should be a wave in the picture that says Happy Healing, and then it's a wave of pain relief as our logo. Anyway, but it's on Amazon. There, I think there's another company that has Happy Healing as well. I'm not sure how we're both on here with the same name. So I Happy Healing to You is how I have ours. The number two and the letter U on Amazon. So that way it differentiate it, you know.
yeah, I really admire that. I think for a lot of people, they'd like to start a business. A lot of people listening, like, oh, yeah, I'd love to have a business that generates cash flow or that is a little more passive or that I can have something I could put energy into and it actually comes back. And I think when you have your own business, if you can create something that really operates on the terms that you want to have it operate on, is where a lot of
Yeah.
people don't like their jobs. They don't like their business if they're really honest. Like, hey, I'd love to be able to have freedom of time. And sometimes a business like this, it's an Amazon type of business or something that these things can become either more passive or at least remote, where people can travel and go around and do stuff like this. So I think that one thing I got from your story was that a lot of these big things start small, and they just start from actually identifying the opportunities around you. And how often have we had that? For those listening, how we had that idea where it's like, oh man, I thought of this idea, and then we just didn't do anything, and we saw the
Yeah.
product come out like 5 years later, like, I thought of that, I actually could have done that. It's like,
Yeah.
so I mean, how many of those things do we have those ideas and we don't actually act on it? So congrats and kudos to acting on it.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what I think is important too is just like, especially if you're like my husband and I, we're married, right? And so we do have to talk about what we're gonna do and stuff. But I think it's important not to suppress each other's drive, right? I could have, been the bubble popper is what I like to call it, the one that's just like, no, let's not do that. That's a terrible idea, right? But no, I was just like, okay, let's try this. And who cares if it goes south and it didn't work out, whatever. You tried, you did, you learned, and that's what matters, right? Like, what's the point of life if we don't, try things and do new things? Because then it just gets mundane and boring, and then you're stuck in the 9 to 5 job. And you can still have a 9 to 5 job and have a joyful life. But if you're not going out and you're actually living and taking the time to do so, well, then you're wasting your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the challenge, right? Is that, there's only so many things we can do. We've got to pick the things that we do them well, and commit to them.
Yeah.
So you have, I guess for you, I look at you're doing a lot of things. You're like the person that I see, like, the rapper slash actress slash business owner
Yeah.
slash this and that. You have a lot of things you have. And how do you focus when you have so many things that you do? You're a speaker, a mindset coach, a creator, a business owner, like you have a podcast. Like, how do you focus when you have all those things?
And a mom with 6 kids. Yeah.
Six
So
kids.
I think it helps I'm a little ADD, right? But
Right.
here's some key points. You can do all these things. However, if you want something to actually succeed, you do have to focus in on one thing and let that, grow and whatnot. But if you're all over the place, it's going to be a little more challenging, but it is fun. I like doing all these things. So as long as I'm having fun doing them and it's working, that's fine. But I do have moments where I'm like, okay, slow down, pick one,
Yeah.
focus,
Yeah.
let that thrive, and then, venture out a little bit. So that's something to note too.
Yeah, I think so. Like, actually, I look at that too, where it's like I have a lot of things. People say, "How do you do all these things?" I say, "Well, sometimes I just focus on one thing at a time, or I schedule things,
Yeah.
or I'll say, like, in this season, I think it's really hard to do more than like two or three things well in your life. Like,
Yeah.
literally, it's hard to be really good. And so to me, like, I have the business, so we're working on the business. I've got my daughter, so I'm a dad, so I try to create memories and do things with her. And then I try to really, take charge of my health and my well-being, right?
Yeah.
Those are kind of the three things. And I think, like,
Yeah.
besides those things, I try to work out an hour a day. Like, those are a lot of things, right? So I think that for anyone listening, it's like you can't say, I want to, you say I do these million things, but sometimes just one thing. Like, okay, over the next 6 weeks, actually, this is how I wrote the book, is I said, okay, I actually went to a Tony Robbins event. You're a mindset.
Yeah, I love Tony Robbins.
He's coming to Southern California later this year, so I'm gonna try to go if I can.
Yeah.
And but I made a decision, right? He says in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. So I made a decision. I'm gonna write a book. And so what I did is I just literally took 60 minutes on the calendar. I literally every single, like, 5 days a week, I actually scheduled the time. And then I basically guarded the time, and I said, okay, these 60 minutes, I'm going to write. And I would just write almost
Yes.
every day, 5 days a week. And within a couple of months, I had most of the book done. And so I think it's not like it's just eating the elephant, right? One little bite at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is like a lot of people, when they start doing something, they quit because they overwhelm themselves. They think, well, if I'm not doing this much, then then it's not going to work. That's not true. You can literally do like there was I forget where I heard this, but something about 1%, just be 1% better each day. And before you know it, you've accomplished your goal.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you don't have to have this long list of things.
Yeah.
You just start and let it be messy,
Yeah.
and have fun with the process, learn. And I like what you said. It's really key because I'm a person who hated planners, wouldn't touch planners. And every time I tried a planner, it would last for a week. And I'm just like, screw that. Right. And then finally, I'm just like, my life's too nuts. I can't
Yeah.
not have a planner. So I finally started like, okay, let's just get a planner that appeals to my, personality and ADD. Maybe that'll help keep me, on it. So I did. And then I just like, okay, started planning. I'm like, oh, this makes life easier. And,
Yeah.
and I think planning is important. You planned and said, this is my time to do this. And because you did that, you were able to accomplish it. So especially if there's moms out there, or anybody who has like a lot of work, a lot of projects, or a lot of things going on in life, you have to set the boundary. You have to put like, okay, I'm going to write my book here. And if I'm, and this is my allotted time to do that. Everything else is a no. And if it's in your plan, or people ask like, hey, you want to come do this, or can you just, sorry, this is my writing hour. I can't do that. Right. And so
Yeah.
it's set. So you're more than likely to succeed in it because you have a set time for it.
Yeah, that's 100%. And I think too, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I think there's a lot more expectation on women just to have their, calendar open or have things available, whatever. And it's like me, like I guard, like the guy was like, no, I'm available this time or this time. What do you like?
I,
For you, I think probably there's some expectation
yeah.
from being a mom. I mean, being a parent, regardless, there's expectation, but being a woman, being a mom, and then having 6 kids and kind of this like, so how do you balance? I mean, it's probably I get that question a lot. Like, how do you do all these things while you have 6 and your kids are young? Aren't your kids young? Some
Oh
of them?
yeah. Oh yeah. I've been doing this since I had a baby that was a newborn, or started doing this when I had a baby and newborn. And yeah, it is hard because kids, of course, are demanding, but this is the key that I finally figured out. Is someone said this to me, is like, you teach people how to treat you, including your children.
Yeah.
Like
So
I
good.
I never exercised and never did anything for myself or my health. I just like, well, I got to get up and do the kid thing and then I'll get to myself. Never got to myself ever, ever, ever. Years went
Yeah.
by and I felt like I was decaying.
Yeah.
So because I wasn't doing anything that lit me up, I wasn't doing anything for me, health wise. And I was just like, this doesn't work. And so I'm just like, so then when somebody, you teach people how to treat you, I was just like, yeah, I got to teach my kids that I matter too, and teach them that this is mommy time, or this is what I do. And kids learn. You tell them that, they'll, at first there's going to be some pushback, right? And some resistance to that, and that's normal and that's okay. But you put your foot down and you say, nope, this is the time. Like, even just before I came to do this recording, I'm like, okay, I announced to all my kids, I'm going to be recording. So
Yeah.
don't bother me until I come out. And they're like, okay. But the first time that I did that, I got interruptions and I expected that. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
fine. We're not going to freak out. We're going to be like, remember what I said? And eventually they got the point of it. Like, okay, mom, see you in an hour. Or
Yeah. Well,
whatever it is. Yeah,
it is really amazing. Like you get in life what you put up with. And so when you set
exactly.
boundaries, like there has to be consequences for
Yeah,
when people break boundaries, even kids, but even adults are like kids. And if you don't set the boundary, they just keep doing it. And so,
exactly.
but like no one, and this is, I think it's for anybody who's seeking financial freedom, like you'll have the life that you create because you what you allow. And so if you really want to get to the next level, you've got to schedule the time for learning. How did I
Yeah,
read 90 books last year? I did it by scheduling time, by doing when I'm working out, when I'm
exactly.
driving, when I'm listening to, not while I'm reading a book, but like physically
Yeah.
reading, like
I
actually,
that's
yeah, I put it in autopilot. Uh,
audio.
but really just really schedule those things and be very intentional, because if you don't, people will fill in your time. There'll always be way more need in the world. And actually, I came from a place for years ago. I was in a youth pastor and youth ministry, right? And there were
Yeah.
always people needing and wanting and desiring things. And it's the end of the world. You can only do so much. So you've got to be very focused on who you can help, who you want to serve, your family, your friends, your neighbors. Who is it that right now in this season? Otherwise, things fill in. I did have a question for you in regards to for you. Every time I talked with you, you always just seem so positive and upbeat. I just think like you got a lot going on, right? You got 6 young kids, you got a lot happening, there's a lot of activity, you got your business. How do you reframe yourself when something doesn't go well?
Oh,
Or
that
how do
is
you
a
walk through
good
that?
question. Okay. So, in the past, I just went to my closet and cried.
Yeah.
And the kids always found me there. I'm just like, oh, it's all over. I'm done. But no, what really helps, how I'm able to walk. So like, I'm usually pretty positive and whatever, but life can go wrong. And I just say, okay, things didn't go the way I wanted to. That's okay. It's going to work out anyway. I just decide not to buy into the drama. That's my new theme that's been for a couple of years, is I'm not going to buy into the drama.
Yeah.
Like, if drama comes up, I'm like, okay, I don't have to play that card game. I don't have to get emotionally involved in that. I can take a deep breath and I can be like, okay, uh this is how, like, for instance, if a person is having an issue and they're trying to put that issue on me, which that happens to all of us, right? And they're trying to put you just be like, no, 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 that's their problem. They feel that way. That doesn't mean I need to feel that way. And if it's a loved one, you can just be an anchor in that moment. Allow them to have their emotions however they're feeling, but you don't need to be in the emotion, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can literally just like, okay, I'm here for you. I'm an anchor, and you can just be grounded. You get grounded, you ground yourself, however that looks like. For me, it's like, okay, things aren't as always as bad as they seem, right? When crap happens, sometimes it feels like the end of the world, but it's never not. It's not. Okay, things are never
Yeah.
as bad as you think they are. It's
Totally.
just like, okay, we're being challenged right now emotionally, and and you just take a deep breath, and you work through it. And I'm just like, okay. And sometimes, it's okay to get upset. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be disappointed. And you have to allow yourself to have those emotions. You have to allow yourself to go through it, and, whatever the process is for you. And I just decide that, like, okay, today is a day where I just need to cry. So I have my cry and then I'm better, right? And another day, it's just like, today's the day where I don't need to cry. I just need to be like, well, we're not doing that today. If
Yeah.
there's a phone call that you need to ignore because somebody keeps trying to, like, take up your emotional time or whatever, you're just like, nope, not today. I don't need to do that today.
Well, I think, like, I don't know, we don't realize sometimes the effect that toxic people or just situations can have on our lives. And I
Yeah.
think it's funny. I used to lead a real estate meetup in Pasadena for 5 years. I remember one time we were talking about a lot of this mindset stuff around real estate, and the guy in like the first or second row, he was just like making all these faces, like, "What is this guy talking?" I was like, "Oh, you got to get into your place where you're, finding what you want and creating your goals and your intention and making a change in the world." He was just kind of like, "What? We're talking real estate at all?" But like, I just think it's so important, whether it's real estate, business, life, is just making sure that where you're coming from and your frame, that you're taking care of yourself. You're really
Yeah.
doing those things that are meaningful. Because again, you can get all the money, all the stuff. And we all know examples of people. There's actually a story that I heard where a guy, made $5 million a year, and he had 5 kids. And, he's saying, well, what would it take for you to be happy? He's like, well, I got to make $10 million a year. I have no problem with any of my kids. I've got to have all whatever. And it was like, well, you're never going to be happy, right? Because you're
Yeah.
creating a prerequisite for that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just being grateful. Like
Yes.
I have this Tony Robbins exercise I do now. It's the priming exercise. If people search priming, it's like a 15-minute thing. You go and you just enter into those moments of gratitude from your past, and you just like live from there, because otherwise, like, life is just going to be challenging and kind of beat you up, right?
Exactly. Gratitude is the key to happiness in life. There is my favorite saying, and I think his last name was Nelson. I can't remember who quoted this, but anyway, it's just like, when nothing is expected and everything is appreciated, life becomes magical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is so true. Like, if you just get rid of, because it's, especially when you're starting a business, maybe you have all these expectations of how it's going to go. And when it doesn't happen that way, you're disappointed. You're like, well, I'm done. Quit, right? No, get rid of the expectations, dive in and say, okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm hoping it goes this way. And if it doesn't, like, okay, that was a learning moment. And I'm grateful for that learning moment. Do you see the difference there?
Yeah.
And then life becomes magical and you succeed so much better, and you don't give up so easily. And you take the pressure off of yourself, you take the pressure off of others, and it helps lighten other people's loads, especially, like, for example, in a relationship. When you go into a relationship with all of these expectations, like, well, I expect my husband to take out the trash. I expect my husband to do, to do these particular things. And then he's expecting you to do these particular things. And if you don't fulfill those, then you feel like you have lost in the marriage game, right? Like, it's a
Right.
disappointment. Or in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with someone and you're not married and you're just dating or whatever, it's just like, but when you're just grateful, when you're have a mindset of gratitude, you see the things that they are doing. You're focusing on the positives of what they are doing, And then those become magnified. And when you're grateful for those, you actually can help someone improve and become better just by being grateful. And you can improve yourself too, and your outlook in life just becomes amazing.
Yeah, it really is. I think gratitude is the key, one of the biggest keys to life. Like if you're not enjoying your life, Brené Brown, who's an author that I follow, her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, was just transformative for me.
Oh,
And
that's beautiful.
she
Yeah.
has the idea like if the people that experienced more joy in their life, all of them had some sort of gratitude practice. So if like somebody listening is like, hey, I just want to, I'm not enjoying anything what I'm doing, I'm not enjoying life, I'm in a tough relationship, whatever, just find the things you are grateful for. Because if you're like, if you wake up and you're breathing, you got something to be grateful for, right? You got something right
Exactly.
now. And even if like every little thing you have is something that could not be there. And I think as humans, we're so trained to look at the negative. We don't
Yeah.
realize what we have until something is taken away or is threatened. And so I think that's something with just in life and with our kids and with every just teach people
Yeah.
that, it's great when we can have things, but we're gonna lose things, terrible things will happen, but like everything's still a gift. If we're alive, we have people around
Exactly.
us that care about us. So it's huge. What's one piece of advice that you have for someone who, maybe they've got everything financially and they're like, I don't know what's next. I feel like something's missing. Like, what are some things kind of people can do on their journey to kind of, okay, I really want to enter into some of this gratitude, or I want to enter into some of this, like a greater sense of purpose.
I think if somebody's already got like the money and everything that they wanted, but then they feel like, okay, what now? There's two things. Obviously, gratitude fills those holes, right? But then also, we are always, as human beings, we're always evolving, and this is something I'm recently learning. Is just like we're always evolving. Like I know of a lady, she made a multi-million dollar business, and then she tore it all down because she felt very inspired to, like she still was doing her business, but she felt inspired to do a different way. So she changed that way. She's just like, I feel driven to do this. And so she did it, which means she took a huge, cut in her pay, so to
Yeah.
speak. But she is so happy.
Yeah.
She's so happy, and she is inspiring so many people. She felt called. So sometimes we come to a plateau and it's like, okay, and it's time for us to rise a little higher because
Yeah.
we all have God-given gifts. I'm a woman of God. I hope you don't mind me. But yeah, we all have, whatever you believe in, or the universe or whatever, we all have these gifts. We all have these purposes. And if we're not reaching our full potential, then we're going to feel a little empty. So maybe we just need a little more boost. The gratitude could be the thing, or it could be you just need to up level what you're doing.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, Buffy, this is awesome. How can people hear about you, your podcast, what you're doing? Would love to have people reach out to you. How can they connect with you?
Yay. Okay. So yeah, my podcast is BS Your Way Through Life, and you can find me there. I'm also on Instagram, and I'm also on YouTube. I want to do YouTube lives, and so I need more subscribers on there. So go to YouTube as well, and it's BS Your Way on YouTube and Instagram. The Instagram has I think it's BS underscore your way. And then you can find me on my website, which is bsyourway.com. So that's how you can find me.
bsyourway.com. Love
Yep.
it. I love it. Awesome. Buffy, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. We'll look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. So what I really enjoyed about this interview was really the focus on mindset, right? Again, we even started talking a lot more about mindset because it really is the thing that allows people to transform, being transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? That's even a spiritual principle, right? So how do I allow myself to be transformed? It's by things like gratitude. It's by things like remembering what's important, writing down your goals, journaling, these things. Now, they don't seem super flashy, right? It's like, oh yeah, I spent 20 minutes journaling this week or something. It's like, well, okay, great. But those are the things that actually allow you to experience more joy in your life. They're things that actually allow you to really enter in and really enjoy the fact that you are a parent. Maybe you're like, man, it's so much work. I can imagine with Buffy, 6 kids at home and, just lots going on, right? And you could be like, man, this is a lot. What am I doing? What's all these goals that I have? What's happening? But being grateful for those kids, right? Being grateful for the moments that you have. So lots of takeaways here. Again, I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, big mindset fan. If you got something out of this, would love to know what you got out of this. We'll let you share it with someone else. And again, I hope you're taking each day, doing something for yourself, doing something in relation to a goal, and really pressing into what it is you want. So if you can just define what you want, where you want to go, that is a huge step, right? You know, goals that have no clear date, they're not SMART goals, right? The specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound, you're probably not going to hit it, right? So when I said I'm going to leave my job in 3 years, I didn't quite know how I was going to do it. I just said, I'm going to do this. And I did it in just under 3 years, right? So you can do it. So whatever the goal is for you, whether it's losing 30 pounds, you want to, get a new job, hopefully maybe you want to fire yourself, you want to read so many books this year. I really want that for you. So make that goal very clear, read your goals, share them with people, be accountable, post it online. Hey, I'm doing this, I'm committed to doing this. And you'll find that you will actually move forward. Otherwise, what happens is each year, each day looks the same as the day or the year before, and everything feels like it's the same. And as I get older, I'm 44 years old now, which is not super old, but it's old. It's old enough to where every year goes faster and faster, right? And so we got to get a hold of the things that really matter. Otherwise, the time just goes by. So hope you're taking today, making it a great day. Appreciate you, grateful for you. Thanks for taking the time to educate yourself. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Mailbox Money Show. You've been listening to the Mailbox Money Podcast. For more free resources, articles, and videos, go to bronsonequity.com. There you can download your copy of the special report, The Single Best Investment Strategy During and After a Pandemic. None of the information shared here is an offer to buy a specific investment, and this is for educational purposes only. Consult your financial, legal, and tax professionals and use your own common sense before making any investment decisions. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next time for more Mailbox Money.